Let's proceed with my least favourite area in the game. For this first bit, we actually run around as Melia on our own, which is kind of a cool idea. She is a new character. We haven't used her much. And she is much more different from all the other characters than they all are from each other. And she can actually be quite problematic for a lot of players, and people tend to avoid her. Apart from obviously in sections like these, where you have to play as her. But she is actually a powerhouse and very fun to play when you get used to it. The only problem with this section is, not only is she really different and a little awkward to handle, but the enemies we are fighting one-on-one haven't been scaled down appropriately. We're not at risk of dying, but they are extra tedious to fight because they haven't, their defences haven't been lowered or their HP reduced that much. It is pretty much us taking on a normal fight, just with 2 of the characters missing. And these guys are fairly tedious to fight anyway. But we'll get to fight them a lot with the main group soon. That'll be equally unfun. The main thing to realise about Melia is, although most of the arts on her bar appear blue, which we've only seen so far as healing or buffing arts, they are actually her attacks, but they are blue because before you can use an attack as Melia, you have to summon it, and then once you've summoned it, you can then use it offensively. So instead of pressing once and attacking straight away as we do with every other character, we press once, we summon a little floaty elemental power, and we can either leave it there and it will give us a buff, hence being blue, or we can fire it off and use it offensively. We have a water one, an electric one, and a fire one, and you can summon 3 at once, and then they fire off in the reverse order that you summoned them in. This is really awkward to get your head around at first, because even if you do read the tutorial page that pops up, it's not really clear, and in practice it just feels a bit weird at first, and also can feel a bit weak, because they're not all outright damaging as well. Some of them don't just do a chunk of damage straight away, they apply a damage over time. And not only do you have to remember what each skill does offensively, you need to remember what they do if you just summon them and leave them floating around. So you know which ones you actually want to summon and leave, and which you want to summon and fire off. And then when you're playing, you need to remember which ones you summoned in which order. You do get used to it quite quickly, but the first time round it just makes an already tedious and quite dull area that much more annoying.
You have done well, my descendant.
Descendant? Are you the progenitor of Antiqua?
Think of me as a recreation of said ancestor, possessing his thoughts and speech.
But he passed away thousands of years ago.
Do not mistake me for a living being. I am a replica of your ancestor. I am merely a projection of what he would be if you were to meet him now.
I I do not understand. But I do not suspect any falsehood in your words.
It is beyond doubt. If I could feel, I would feel joy. I am not real, but I do not lie.
Joy? What do you mean?
The results of the gene analysis show Holmes gene integration of 80%. Estimates suggest evolution within 8 generations. Our wishes are almost fulfilled.
Wishes?
Our purpose, as decreed by the Bionis, is linked to our genetic sequence. We have spent millennia analyzing sequences to free ourselves from the curse. Only a certain gene set will unlock the mechanism and set us free.
I still do not understand.
It is of no consequence. I grant you this seal.
Is this?
It is you who will rule the High-Entia, and likely be their last.
Revered ancestor,
Go forth and rule, my descendant.
So the spirits look favorably upon you.
Explain yourself. Only Imperials are permitted to enter this place.
I am the subject of Her Highness the First Consort. I need no permission.
Mother's subject?
No impure child of the Second Consort has the right to refer to the First Consort as Mother.
A filthy Homs half-breed has no right to the throne.
Who puts a great big hole somewhere like that?
As I explained, it's a defense mechanism.
What a mess, Rhine.
Friend not clever touching button.
I'm with these guys, Ryan.
How was I supposed to know that was gonna happen? What about your visions, eh? You think the two of you could come up with something?
You know it doesn't work like that.
It would have been useful, yes.
Pair of fortune-telling frauds.
You got us into this mess. And it's not the first time either.
Ricky, agree with Shulk.
Why is it my fault all of a sudden?
This time it is your fault.
Precisely.
Well...
Be thankful that we are all alive. I suggest greater care next time. Our journey will be longer, but we can still make our way deeper into the tomb.
Okay. We can't waste another second. Melia needs us.
It's quite refreshing for once to have a team of people call one of their members out for being an idiot. It's one of the things in the game I find different about the characters' characterizations as opposed to other similar games like other RPGs and JRPGs, because obviously in a game or a film format you are limited in what you can express of each character, and you do tend to need to put forward their most defining individual characteristics. But in game writing especially, everyone can end up very two-dimensional. You tend to have, say, the character who always has the stern response, the one who always makes a joke, and, you know, the one who's always really nervous or forgives everyone, or that kind of thing. Whereas in this, everyone has their main characteristics, but they also have variation in their responses compared to their main characteristics. So rather than have the group divided over what Ryan did, which was undoubtedly stupid and annoying and very typical of him, everyone does call him on it in their own way. And this, because obviously Ryan is going to continue being a lovable idiot, does happen many times, and if you just pay attention, you'll notice that they will all have similar responses, but in an individualised way, rather than putting their, how should I phrase it, say putting their core defining characteristic first and building the response from that. The game takes the appropriate response and then expresses it through their characteristics. Now, the main reason I have the game going so quickly in the background, and I'm also not showing off the whole of the area, is because every corridor, every final room is identical. It is a series of featureless hallways with battles every 10 steps. And these things are a pain in the arse to beat because they have quite high defense against most of the damage we do, and a lot of health. And I do mean that literally. Every single section of hallway you see me go into, you'll see on either side there's bars of white light, and they look like lights, but they are in fact indentations. In every single one of those is a group of robots. Every time you walk past one, a group of robots will come out. When you finish that, there is another set before you reach the end of the corridor. I ended up cutting out a lot of this because I couldn't find anything unique compared to what you have just seen in the sped up sections just now. I don't understand how this place ended up like this compared to the rest of the game. I mean, the aesthetic and colour palette is slightly different from other stuff we've seen, and it has the potential to be really interesting. But it does actually break down into a series of identical corridors that meet at right angles. Although here we do have to climb across this wall, because obviously the light bridge doesn't appear for us like it did for Melia. I don't know why I found climbing across this wall so difficult, but it took me several tries. I think I was just so bored of running around at this point.
That is a big ball of something.
He'd look fun and sparkle.
It's not attacking us, at least.
What's happening?
Hey, look at that!
Another defense mechanism.
At a guess, we're looking at the tomb's guard.
We're not getting past without a fight.
Everyone, Melia needs us. We can't let this thing stop us.
No problem. Time to break my record. Let's focus our efforts. Roger.
Despite being dropped down in a cutscene, this guy isn't actually unique or a boss. He's fairly standard and easy to fight. You can actually go through this area of the game a lot faster than I did. But, as we've seen so far, each area has its own set of unique collectibles, and this area counts as a self-contained one. So the collectibles we get in here we can't get in the rest of the Alchemoth area. So I just had to spend ages clearing out the whole thing so I could find a few of each collectible. Because there are quests when we leave here that people will want some of the collectibles from in here and you can't return. I don't think you can. I don't want to.
Blossom dance!
Anyone would think we're not wanted. Are we ever gonna find her?
I think you'll find we had to take the long way because somebody pushed a certain button.
Somebody mean Rhine?
Shut it, hairball. It was just a button.
Relax. She will be fine. This route will lead us to the ritual altar. But time is of the essence.
We've got to hurry. There's no time to lose.
You